Mrs. Robertson. For those of you that are not in class today, we are back in our math books. The bell work was to do the problems on page 512. It looks like this at the top. Page 512. We are in chapter 7, and it's about equations. But first we have to review to make sure you remember how to add decimals and subtract them. You line the decimal point up. When you add and subtract fractions, you have to find your common denominator. This one refers to your least common denominator. Between a 4 and a 9 is 36. It shows how to do that in case you forgot. So now let's go over the answers to our bell work. Line your decimal points up. You are subtracting 4. I'm going to put it in there. 4 minus 3 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. The answer is 1 and 11 hundredths. Any questions on that? Everyone's doing okay? Good. And let's go on to the next problem. Line your decimal points up. 6 won't subtract 8. I borrow from the 2, it turns into a 1. And that's a 16. Minus 8 is 8. 1 will not subtract 7. I borrow from this one, it turns into a 0, so that can be an 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. Decimal point, 0 and 48 hundredths. Everyone is good with that? Good. Let's go to the next problem, another subtracting. Borrow from the 6, it turns into a 5. 15 minus 6 is 9. Borrow from the 3, it turns into a 2, so that can be a 15. Minus 9 is 6. Decimal point, and it's 2 and 69 hundredths. Any questions on that, kids? Everyone's doing okay? Fabulous. Let's go on then to the fractions. Find each difference. Write in simplest form. So they are requesting that we write it in simplest form. All right, so common denominator between an 8 and a 4 will be 8. That is already 8s. 1/4. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract. And you have 5/8. Are there any questions? 5/6 minus 1/2. Between a 6 and a 2, your common denominator is going to be a 6. 5/6 stays the same. And 1/2 equals 3/6. Why? Because 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 3 is 3. That is not in simplest form. What is 2/6 in simplest form? Yes. 1/3. 2 divides 2, and 2 will divide 6. My common denominator between a 5 and a 7 will be 35. Alex, 3/5 equals how many 35ths? 5 times what is 35? 7. Very good. So then you take 3 times 7, and our numerator will be 21. 7 times what class is 35? 5. And 2 times 5 gives us the numerator of 10. 21 minus 10 gives you the answer 11/35, and it will not simplify. Oh, we do have a word problem. Pamela ran 7/10 of a mile on Tuesday and 3/8 of a mile on Thursday. How much farther did she run on Tuesday? Well, we're going to subtract 3/8 minus 7, let's see. 7/10 minus 3/8 equals. All right. What will be my common denominator between a 10 and an 8? Yes. Excellent. It is 40. They both will divide a 40. 10 times 4 is 40. 7 times 4 is, class, 28. 8 times 5 is 40. What's 3 times 5? 15. And we subtract, giving us the answer 13/40 farther. Any questions? Okay, now let's go to the next page, 513, and we have our lesson about equations. And we've got a lot of vocabulary here we're going to spend some time with. This is page 513, and this is the beginning of our new lesson. What's the essential question for Chapter 7? How do you determine if two numbers or expressions are equal? All right, so we're going to be thinking about that as we go through this chapter. An equation is a mathematical sentence showing two expressions are equal. An equation contains an equal sign. I want everyone right now circle that. Equations have equal signs. Do expressions have equal signs, class? No. An expression does not have an equal sign. An equation does. All right? Now, what's the definition of an equation? All right. It is a mathematical sentence. I'm just going to use the word math. A math sentence showing two expressions are equal. Can I help you? Okay. Showing two expressions are equal. Okay, write that down. Now we're going to give an example of this. Who would like to give an example of an equation? Anyone? Okay, it is early. This is an example of an equation. It's very easy. 5 plus x equals 13. That's an equation, kids. It's a math sentence with a variable. Okay? Any questions on that? That's an equation. An equation has an equal sign. Now let's talk about what an expression is. The definition of an expression is a combination of numbers. I'm just going to put this right here, and you can copy that definition down. I will be right back. All right, kids, copy that down. That's the definition for an expression. Yeah. Yes. Carter, she needs you just for a little bit, okay? He did a nice job on his benchmark yesterday. His score went up quite a bit. All right, so you should be writing down the definition here. It is a combination of numbers and operations which might contain variables. It does not have an equal sign, kids. There's no equal sign in an expression. No equal sign in an expression, okay? And here's an example. 5 plus x minus 16. Don't put an equal sign in your example, okay? Does everyone have that written down? I'll wait just a little bit longer, then I'll talk to you about the next one, and I'll write it down. Okay, we'll come back to this if you need to see it later. We're now ready for the next question. How are an equation and an expression similar? They both contain numbers and operations. They both contain numbers and operations. Operations, kids, add, subtract, multiply, divide. And it says, and may contain variables. And may contain, and you know what variables are, right? Those are letters. May contain variables. An example would be X, Y, A, B, so on. You don't have to do the example if you already know what a variable is. Write that down. How are an equation and an expression different? It's the one thing. An equation has what? Right, expression does not. Equations have an equal sign. Expressions do not. I'm just going to put EXP for expressions. Do not. Okay. Now as you're finishing that up, I see, who would ever have a picture taken of their big toe sticking out like that of their socks and put it in a math book? I do not know. I have socks like that, but I would never take a picture of my foot with my toe sticking out like that. It says, Anna bought a package of 6 pair of socks. She needed them. She writes the equation below to find how much she paid per pair. Circle the solution of the equation. 6 times what is $9? Well, 6x, this is the equation. Let's circle the equation. 6 times what is $9? Well, 6 times 50 cents is going to be $3. 6 times $2 is going to be $18. So by process of elimination, it's probably going to be which one? $1.50. Yeah. 6 times $1 is $6. And then we know 6 times 50 cents is $3. You put those together, you get $9. Okay, let's go on to page 514. Solve addition and subtraction equations mentally. Now when we start doing this tomorrow, I do not want you to do them mentally, but we're just going to go over some vocabulary to help you feel familiar with this. It says, when you replace a variable, which is a letter, with a value that results in a true sentence, you solve the equation. Solve means you get the answer for the variable, kids. That value for the variable is the solution of the equation. So do you understand now what these words mean? Solve, underline it, solution. Solve is the act of getting the answer, and solution is the answer. Okay, solve is like the verb, solution is a noun. If you were doing some of the language arts skills with that. Number 1, let's go to the examples. Is 3, 4, or 5 the solution of the equation a plus 7 equals 11? Well, the answer is 4. 3 plus 7 is 10, not equal. 4 plus 7 is 11, yes. 5 is 12, it's not equal. Over here we have the stop and reflect note. It says, how can you check if your solution to an equation is correct? Well, you just put the number in and do the mathematical operation, right, kids? That's right. Okay, let's look at number 2. Solve. What minus 7 equals 3? Well, it says solve mentally. 10 minus 7 is 3. It says think. What number minus 7 equals 3? You know that 10 minus 7 equals 3. That's one of your basic facts. You probably knew that in 2nd grade. Now let's go to this word problem. The total cost of a pair of skates and knee pads is $63. The skates cost $45. Use the guess, check, and revise strategy to solve the equation 45. Let's underline the equation. 45 plus k equals 63 to find k. First, they guessed 14. Does 45 plus 14 equal 63? No, it's 59. Then they guessed 16. I feel like they're at Goldilocks and the Three Bears. 45 plus 16 is 61. Nope, you're 2 away, so they added 2 to 16 and got 18, and the answer is 63. That's the guess and check method. I'm going to teach you tomorrow, and then after winter break, how not to do the guess and check method. Let's go on to page 515. A, B, and C, it says do these problems to find out. So right now, I would like for you to do A, B, and C. I'm going to walk around the room and check on you to see how you're doing. The answer for the first one, letter A, what plus 8 is 13? Yes, Owen? 5. So you put a 5 on your answer blank. In letter B, 9 minus what is 2? Yes, 7. Really, I'd like for you to say X equals 7, C equals 5, just to get in the habit of writing these things out like this. In letter C, the difference between an ostrich's speed and a chicken's speed is 31 miles per hour. Which one do you think's faster? Ostrich, yeah, checking to make sure you're awake. An ostrich can run at a speed of 40 miles per hour. Use mental math or the guess and check and revise strategy to solve the equation. 40 minus what equals 31? Well, 40 minus 10 is 30. 10 is too big by 1. So what's 1 less than 10? 9, and the answer is 9 miles per hour. So C equals 9 miles per hour. Okay? Now the next group talks about how to solve multiplication and division equations mentally. All right? It says multiplication and division equations are solved in a similar way to addition and subtraction equations. Is 3, 4, or 5 the solution of the equation 18 equals 6 times z? Which one of those equals 18 when you multiply 6 times it? 3, that's right. This is very easy. All of you know that. Okay, so let's go on to example 5. If it's more challenging, I don't think it is. 16 divided by s is 8. This does feel like 2nd grade, doesn't it? They had boxes instead of variables, though. What divided by 16 will give you the answer? 8? 2. That's right. Now, I want you to do D and E mentally. All right. Alex, it says, is 2, 3, or 4 the solution to the equation 4 times n equals 16? Which one of those solves for n? 4 times what is 16? Yes, n equals 4. In letter E, what is the value for W? 24 divided by what is 8? Chantier, what'd you say? Oh, I can read your fingers. 3, yes. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Are there any questions? All right, let's go on to the next page. In this example, we have a word problem. Mason bought 72 sticks of gum. There are 8 sticks of gum in each package. Use the guess, check, and revise strategy to solve the equation 8 times P equals 72 to find P, which is the number of packages Mason bought. Well, how many packages of gum did he buy? Kids, you probably know 8 times what is 72? Yes, P equals 9. Any questions? All right, so now let's do the guided practice. It's not going to take you very long, and then we'll go over the answers in just a moment. We're back and ready to go over the answers for each one of these. So in problem number 1, W equals what? 9 plus what equals 17? 8. W equals 8. So I want you to write W equals 8. If you forgot, put the W in. In number 2, what does C equal? 8 divided by what will give you 8? 1. That's called the identity property, isn't it? In number 3, what minus 11 is 23? 34. X equals 34. In number 4, 4 times x is 32. What's the value of x in this one? 8. And our word problems. Number 5, Mississippi and Georgia have a total of 21 electoral votes. Mississippi has 6 electoral votes. Use mental math or the guess, check, and revise strategy to solve the equation 6 plus g equals 21. Find g. So g equals 6 plus what will give you 21? Well, 6 plus 14 is 20, right? So what will it be? 15. 1 more than 14 will give you a 21. All right, let's go to number 6. Riley and her sister collect stickers. Riley has 220 stickers in her sticker collection. Her sister has 55 stickers in her collection. Riley has how many times as many stickers as her sister? Use mental math or the guess, check, and revise strategy. All right, so 55 times x equals 220. Well, to undo, what do you do to undo multiplication? Division. You're going to learn that. We'll talk about that skill after winter break. And the answer is going to be what? 44. X equals 44. Then we have question 7. Building on our essential question, it asks, how do you solve an equation? Well, you're thinking technically, I can tell, looking at you. Yeah, what do you say?
Well, it's in the question there. So you're saying that x equals 44, but that means that
Oh, excuse me, it's 4, not 44. It's 55. Thank you. Yeah, it's dividing by 55. After I wrote that down, it's like, oh, wait a second. Thanks for speaking up. Okay, building on the essential question, how do you solve an equation? Well, let's do the non-technical answer today. By finding a value for the variable that makes it true. How? By finding a value for the variable. I'm just going to do VAR for the word variable. That makes it true. That makes the equation EQ true. All right. I understand how to solve equations. I still have some questions about solving equations. With the easy problems they had today, a lot of you are going to put a check mark there, but then we're going to do some that are a little more challenging starting tomorrow. Okay, now let's go on to what we're going to do for your homework assignment. So your homework assignment is going to be this, your classwork homework. On page 517, you're going to do all the problems, and it looks like we have about 20 minutes, so you'll have plenty of time. So page 517, all, they're very easy. Just circle an answer. On page 518, choose 5 of them. choose any 5 on this page. This is page 518. And then on page 519, try to do all of them. Let's say 22 to just try to do all of them. They're not very hard to do. All 22 to 33. You may sit with a friend.